Have your phone ready because we're going to do a new style of game at the end.
Oh, Christ.
We'll do Three-Headed Critic,
God.
but it's also a fun new game that we're trying out.
How can I forget?
So basically, the name of this game, you ask what your phone's opinion of the film was out of your presets.
Out of your predictive text.
Out of your predictive text.
You have
to build a
predictive
review
text
out of predictive
text on a device?
Maybe I have it, but I've turned it off.
That's possible.
You should turn it on.
I'll try.
Is it going to be really revealing, or
That's
it's
good.
like Justice League was...
Hate myself, hate myself, hate myself. Oh, that's weird. I don't know why it says stylish dance. There you go. Okay, that's more like it.
Justice League was a stylish dance.
No, I think I might have the one just before it.
It's really okay.
Whatever. We'll
do Three-Headed Critic, and we'll also do predictive text over on this end.
And Max,
Okay.
Max doesn't have it, and we'll mock you for it.
Yeah.
You can talk about how Australia is so behind the times or something.
No, actually, you're ahead of the times.
You guys are doing pretty
I
all right.
think it's
over there.
Saturday there right now.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
well, yes.
Oh, wow.
That's true, but
Holy.
Yeah.
That's,
but we're we still got to get this whole gay marriage thing sorted out.
That's what I was gonna say. It's
we're
like
behind the figurative times.
yeah.
just like a bunch of politicians like say, I heard that they lick each other's bums. Is that they eat the poop? That's unbelievable. We need to outlaw this. What are they doing there? Oh, he's reaching his hand in there. Look at it. He's using that man like a puppet. That was British. Fuck.
Yeah,
Whatever.
how's Tim's accent there, Max?
It's New Zealand.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's the worst I've heard.
Thank you.
I think I tried to get you guys to do Australian accents while I was over there, but you guys were too, I don't know,
It's
shy
embarrassing.
to do it in front of me or something.
Well, I think that the secret is you turn A's into double E's, and that's Australia. Like, thank you. Think.
That's more New Zealand.
Yeah,
we kind of
New
drag
Zealand.
out our A's. Like
I
we
always get
talk,
mixed up.
we talk kind of like everything just kind of turns into like a long like A like this, and we always go up at the end of our sentences.
Oh man,
That's kind of the
All right, let me.
tradition.
it's like a valley girl with a numb tongue. I like to hang out every day, and drink Starbucks.
I want to try mine. This is my Australian
Okay,
accent.
Go for it.
Mother, I have the boxes. The 3 boxes. Mother, I've collected the Infinity Stone. I mean the boxes, Mother.
Oh no, that's a Steppenwolf Australian accent. God damn, dude.
Steppenwolf?
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
He didn't step on a single wolf. in
Not
this whole
one of
movie.
those. I was waiting too. I thought that was a for sure thing.
Yeah.
It's like Chekhov's Steppenwolf. If you introduce
In the
stepping
first
on
act,
a wolf in the first act,
Steppen's wolf.
I really want to see Steppen's wolf.
Oh my God, Stephen Wolf. Actually, they're just pronouncing his name wrong this whole time.
Yeah, right.
The P's silent. Whose name's Steppen? I have slept for 4 hours.
Why'd you do that?
So for like 4 hours each night for the past 5 nights.
Why?
So the jokes will not be coming hot and heavy in this episode. You'll be laughing at me, and it makes you very rarely with me.
I
so
feel very
please
foggy in my brain.
prepare. Same. And
Okay.
mostly because we saw Justice League.
Yeah, I forgot that we did. No, I'm not joking.
It
We
was
just
last night.
We just saw it last night, and I operated through most of today forgetting it happened to me.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, I guess. Walking out of it, I felt so entirely unchanged. I think that was the really strange thing about it.
Did you say unchained? As in you're free? As in
Finally.
no more?
They've let.
I don't have to see any more of these. I'm done.
I mean, yeah, kind of that really. Yeah, like I've felt that fatigue lately of like, okay, here's the next one and that sort of thing. And also, I'm abstinenting off trailers, as Dom knows anyway. So
That's true.
I've been
I
avoiding
haven't had sex with a
Justice
trailer in
League
about 10
news.
years. I'm right there with you.
No, but yeah, I've been avoiding as much news about all these films that I, already have plans to see as possible. So then walking into this knowing as little as I humanly have been able to,
Yeah.
and then walking out like, okay, I guess now I can look at things again it feels strange every time. Like it felt particularly strange after Spider-Man: Homecoming because
that's
that was
hard.
the big one of oh my gosh.
Sure. Hey,
Yeah.
I need to play the theme song. Christmas time.
That's something we can talk about is like Australian Christmas spirit, which I can never get into because it doesn't snow here during December.
Right.
It's hard.
And,
It's hot as hell.
And we try to adjust for that and have pictures of like Santa surfing or he has a sleigh of kangaroos.
That's what I was gonna
And I'm
say.
Nice.
And I'm just sitting here going, no, that doesn't work. You're still putting the hat on him. He still has a woolen hat. You can't get away from that.
Max, let me tell you something. Those are two lies that I would make up if I was joking about what Christmas is like in Australia. Those are There is no way that Australia themselves sat down and said, "Oh, what if Santa's got a bunch of roos?" That's a fucking joke in itself. Welcome to Reasonable Beef. My name is Tim Kish, and I'm very happy that I have editing software. Welcome, and I am joined today by whomst?
It's me, your old friend, your old pal, Steppenwolf. So glad to be on the show.
Thanks for joining us, Steppenwolf.
Yeah. Been going through kind of a rough time, bit of a bummer.
Jerk.
Bit of a bummer what happened to me. To each his own. You know, there's two sides to every story.
It's
and six sides to every cube.
You know, it's really disappointing. It's like, yeah, you know, we got out there, we gave it our all. I had my nightmare demons come down, and when they got rid of my fire axe, I was real sad. But you know what? I kept playing. I kept my head in the game. And I lost my helmet at the end. That was real sad. But you know what? I haven't lost my fighting spirit. All right, well, thank you, Steppenwolf. That's just, it's like a post-game.
And who else is here? Who's with us?
Max, tell us who's here.
It's me, Henry Cavill's mustache. In the
Lack
flesh.
thereof.
Real bummer what happened to you, huh?
That's a shame.
Tough.
Yeah. They cut me
Hollywood,
out of my
man.
own movie, kind of.
That happens, a Hollywood
no,
story, you know?
That's true. They just, they didn't think the storyline added enough. His growing mustache. Who are you really?
My name is Max Karpsten.
And what do you do?
I'm a digital artist. I draw comics and illustrations. I drew the cow. I drew
Oh, that's
for the
right.
logo.
Yeah, you are the artist of Dom, the cow, our logo.
Right. How could I forget that that's the cow's name?
So thanks for that. Yeah, we love you, Max, and you know you're one of the rare guests. Usually we have guests that make a living with their voice, and you use your hands. And I'm
Okay.
I'm looking to get a marathon sprinter on next week.
Because they use their legs?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this bit is, guys. Come on.
Like I thought you were going
Yeah,
somewhere about like, you know, usually we have people who only use their mouths, but you use your hands.
Sure.
And I think you should do both.
You know what? Fuck it. We saw Justice League. Let's get really into it. Let's get into the goddamn nitty gritty because this is the closing the book, right?
Yeah.
We did BVS. We talked about Man of Steel briefly. We did an episode on Wonder Woman. This is the last one, guys. I'm not seeing any more, and not even because I didn't have that great of a time. I had a fine time at the movie. I just am done. I'm finally free of DC's dark clutches. That's what DC stands for. Dark clutches.
The Dark Clutches cinematic
It's
universe.
weirdly enough, they knew it was coming, that they would...
Are there 6 sides on a cube?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
Oh, yeah,
8
there are.
sides on a cube.
Yeah.
There's 6.
Yes.
Yeah, 1,
okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Okay, great.
Okay.
Because I said that a little while ago.
I'm gay.
That's what I was asking about.
Guys, the first thing to
just real quick. Are there 6 sides of a cube? Okay, cool. Because I was just I've been having some really sick thoughts. Anyway, yeah, dude. Wow, what are we doing?
Why do you ask if there's 6 sides on a cube?
Because I said that like 5 minutes ago, and I've been thinking about if that was a stupid thing to say since then.
Oh, okay. I saw Justice League, and yeah, I thought about it. afterwards for about 15 minutes, and I said, "That was definitely a superhero movie." This movie happened to us. It was just
happened near us.
like I can't even begin. I have a lot of complicated feelings about this movie because they're not negative. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's like you have a deadbeat dad who is, he showed up to your birthday party, but he's like drunk. He didn't bring you a gift. And it's like, I'm just glad you're here, and I get it. You are what you are. That's fine.
Thanks for coming, Dad.
Thanks for coming, Dad.
Yeah, well, I want to kind of set the scene of how it felt to watch the opening of this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Because my immediate thought was, yes, good. They are addressing the fact that we never saw Superman like directly saving people. He's engaging with humans on a human level. He's smiling. He's friendly. This works. And then a millisecond later, I just thought, oh no. Henry Cavill's upper lip looks so terrible.
Yes. Yeah.
This is not going to work.
Yeah. What the hell, man? Because it was most of the movie. It wasn't. Are you going to tell him what? The conversation we had at the end about his lip.
Oh no! What? Please continue about his lip.
So the movie ends, and we're all like, "Wow, yeah, the lip looked so weird." And Tim, Tim goes, "I didn't see it," and we're like, "What do you mean? It looks so weird?" And he's like, "Well, but I thought." Well, because he never had a mustache. I thought that they were adding a mustache to Superman.
And he talked about how like weird the mustache CGI was, and I'm like, oh, there must be like a post-credit scene that's like 2 years later, and he's grown a mustache. And they CGI'd it in because Henry Cavill can't grow a good mustache.
No,
that was just. I thought that the whole time. I was waiting for the mustache,
for the fake
scene.
mustache.
It never came.
For the tracked mustache.
I just thought that his like teeth were numb for most of the movie when you see him talk, because there's a scene in particular, and the screen caps go around Twitter where he goes, "Yes, ma'am." And his mouth is like vibrating.
Yeah,
it's like moving in
is
6
weird,
different
man.
directions. And,
I agree though, but the thing, even from the beginning, Tim and I think we have a similar feeling, but I'm going to just say also before we get too deep into this, I think I have a hard time saying that I liked it, because I don't think I liked it, but I was not, I was very not bothered by it. Right. Yeah, it wasn't offensive. It wasn't. I could say this. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, me too.
Like, and I was.
But how much of that has to do with your expectations being like?
I mean, all of it.
Absolutely rock bottom.
It has all of it to do with that, and that's. Well, who cares? Sure,
right,
that's my bar, but so fine. And then I went in and I got to laugh more than I thought I was going to laugh. Absolutely. I got to say "ooh" a couple more times than I thought I was going to. And there was a couple little and I don't know if they were the Whedon, scene stingers, or if that was stuff that was in the scripts already. But there were a lot of, and they took a lot of swings. But how many scenes ended with I don't know, I mean, that's the thing about Gotham,
right?
It's always going to be that way, and and it changed. But it was and it was like you were kind of like, oh.
Dude, there's so many. I really wish that I was keeping track as I was listening, because I remember thinking that 6 times where Cyborg's like, "Are humans the real monsters?" He doesn't actually say that, but it's like a lot of those little.
It all ends with. But
let me ask you a philosophical, pointed question. But I'm not actually asking you the question.
And I like all those. Those are the things in this that I was more pleasantly surprised about, where I was like, oh, it's not just stupid fun. Like they tickled a couple little ticklers that were like, oh, maybe this has a little tiny bit more going on. I like
but here's what you do. You write that phrase on top of the script, and then you write dialogue that implies that phrase instead of saying
I don't know,
thing.
debatable though, because I like pointed little in arguments or in whatever. I like those people just really saying exactly what they mean and cutting right to the core of someone. I like that stuff. I liked the you can't do this forever, Bruce. I can barely do it now.
Right.
Like, I like those lines. I'm like, haha, that's fun.
I agree. And I mean, I have my issues. Okay, let's jump back.
Sorry,
I would like to include Max in the conversation.
Sorry,
I would go back to your first point about okay.
Sorry,
so we see Superman being very human with a bunch of kids, right?
Yeah.
Immediately, one of my biggest pet peeves in movies is we're using a super nice camera and implying that it's a phone camera. Right. It's clearly shot on like a $5,000, $10,000 camera. I don't understand why they couldn't have done that scene with A, an actual iPhone camera or like an actual phone camera, and B, with actual children on set instead of piped in voices.
Because of the lip.
Is it because of the lip CGI? Dude, honestly,
it's probably
that
easier.
might
it was
be
easier,
a reasoning.
But I was gonna say
it's the same thing with the news. Nick brought this point up of like this series has the worst fake news of anything. Like anytime they present the news, it does not look like a real newscast at all. It looks like a college station, and it's the little things like that. That it's just. Yeah,
but sorry, to your point, Matt, the reason I'm sorry I started that even fucking whole tangent I just went on was because
no. I mean, it was on the same kind of.
To your point of like that was kind of like smoothing over something that they didn't do before. That's the kind of stuff that almost offends me, because that's like, don't you play pretend like you built all this goodwill with us and Superman over 5 or 6 years. Like, don't try to lie like you have all this history. And I will say that's where this movie still bothered me, like the other ones do, is that they have all these movies have a habit of thinking that you're more invested than you are.
Yeah.
Of expecting you to care a lot about stuff that you have been given no reason to care about yet.
Yes. Exactly.
And every time I was looking at it through that lens, I actively was like repulsed and had to move away. I watched this almost pretending I hadn't seen any of the other ones before. I was watching it, imagining if I just showed someone this movie.
Sure.
And I know Superman's dead and everything, but that's a fucking sick pitch, dude.
Your
first movie is Superman's already dead. That's dope.
More so than not that I haven't seen the other ones, but that they don't exist at all. Like if it came out swinging like this with this kind of personality that it has, I mean, it's very clearly aping Marvel, right? And you made a great point last night where you said that I think that this will trick enough people into thinking that they had a good time for it to be like mildly successful.
They do. And again, I didn't mean it as a complete negative thing, but they do a successful enough job at the very top layer of the things that Marvel does well. And again, we're never singing the praises as if Marvel makes these flawless movies every shot, but they have a pretty good rep of even the worst ones not being like garbage things, and they still have a soul in them, and they're
all
like
very competently put together. Like everything kind of feels paced decently.
And this Justice League did a really good job of that first. I don't know how else to say it other than it was that skin layer of fun and heart, where they sort of they did enough that you're like, oh sure, this has heart, right? Doesn't it? Did it?
Right.
But it's like, I don't know. Max,
you get to the end and you can kind of nod.
And it's a weird one, man. I mean, Max, you have a pretty good I feel like of the three of us, you have a fairly strong relationship to these DC movies in particular.
Yeah. Because well, I've been doing these, personal fan edits of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and
we've actually mentioned those on the show before. This is the guy, by the way, for anyone listening.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so I feel like in this weird way, I'm not a huge fan of these movies, and I've probably watched them way more than anyone who's not a fan should have. But it's gotten me really attached to them. Like I can look at BVS and what it was and what it became with the Ultimate Edition and really fine tune and see what they were trying to do. And I'm not saying I can bring that out with what I've cut, but it's given me this sense of appreciation for the attempts.
Agreed. I mean, I feel that way about it across the board. Like I at least appreciated what they were trying to be. And
Zack Snyder makes cool looking films. I don't think I've ever really gotten on board with any of them, but so I don't want to say, oh, it was just the studio, it was just Snyder or anything. I don't want to point fingers, but the films have never really reached the thing that they were trying to do, for whatever reason. Yeah. And then Justice League comes out, and I'm talking about just these three films because we don't need to talk about Suicide Squad. But Justice League comes out and it does a different thing. like.
Yeah.
And it feels really strange in that. And this was sort of my same issue that I had with Thor Ragnarok, which, was an entertaining film on a base level. It's a romp, you have a lot of fun watching it, but it's just so strange to look at that and then look at Thor 1 and 2, which are not that kind of movie, and then think, I'll sit down and watch this trilogy, and it just completely upends you in the final act. That's kind of how I feel about this, but
the concept of a trilogy is out the fucking window these days, because especially when you're looking at this, and Tim makes the point all the time, Tim referring to myself, of course, that these are
come on,
that these are like a TV show.
Tim H.
And that's exactly what it is. So Thor is, and on the topic of soft reboots, I mean, that's really what this is. Yeah. That's really what Justice League is with Sark. But to further my point, like, I don't think anybody views the 3 Thor movies as a trilogy, more so as entries in the Marvel Universe films. Yeah. I mean, I don't, right, because like the concept of the trilogy of like the 3 movies is gone, because why make 3 movies when we can make 16 movies that are mildly interconnected? I feel like that's the new play.
But at the same time, you look at the 3 Iron Man movies, and there are stylistic carryovers in each one. And you look at Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, and Captain America has a big stylistic leap between the first one and the second one, but there's a in-world justification for that. That it's 60 years later.
No, you're right. You're making me realize that. Yeah,
he is right, but also none of them were soft rebooted, because none of them necessarily had to be.
Yeah, that's true.
I would love to talk about Thor. We should talk about.
Yeah.
I just really quick, because I missed my chance, and I know. Listen, I don't want to derail everything, but I really need to get this out. Ragnarok.
Okay. Thank you.
You said it was a romp. It's Thor Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. I think it was a I think it was a big Ragnarok.
It's good.
All right.
Yeah, no, but I'm pulling back to Justice League here, because my thing with Thor Ragnarok is that they've kind of missed the opportunity to get the Thor formula right, the formula, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy,
the formula for a good Ragnarok.
Yeah,
it's tough to get down.
So the film is fun, but I'm just like. I'm sad that we never got the 3rd Thor film, if that makes sense. And then looking at Justice League, I'm sad that we never got to see what they were trying to do in Man of Steel and BVS right.
I completely, dude, that's exactly why. We were saying this last night. We was like, I didn't need them to. Here's the thing: is I understand why they did, because it does feel a lot like this was the option. Mm-hmm. This was where we were at. Mm-hmm. They had enough of a. There was such a vocal reaction to Batman vs Superman that it was like, this is what we do. And then they dipped their toe in the water with Wonder Woman, which is by no means like a goofy movie or like a or an extremely goofy movie. It's not even a goof troop, really. Like, but it was more fun, or it was lighter, or whatever you would say. And then they were like,
even that fit into the setting that they'd done, because this was before the World of Man and everything.
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing. I know what you're saying, where you're saying it's sad that we didn't get to see what they were trying to do with Batman versus Superman and Man of Steel. And the same point with Thor 1 and 2 to see the 3rd Thor film. But I would counter that point with those movies suck. Like, right? Like Thor 1 and 2, but Thor 1 and 2 are, I think that they're the weakest entries in the Marvel universe. And the same thing with Man of Steel is not a good movie, and Batman vs Superman's not a good movie.
The first Thor again.
So maybe I will definitely go back and watch it. But as far as what I want out of Thor, Ragnarok is giving it to me a lot more. I want to see a righteous, drunk, ancient god flying around space, like doing ridiculous bullshit, like in the comics. So, to the point of Justice League, a soft reboot is the kindest thing that you can do to these movies. And Justice League, it happened with varying degrees of success, but overall I feel like this is the right play to make. I'm off board. I don't want to see any more of these, but if it starts to drift more in this direction, they can at least try to make up time. Because so what you were saying of they didn't earn anything, I think the only reason that the DC universe failed is not because the movies are bad, but because the plotting of the season, so to speak, of the TV show that they're building the pacing is insane and completely like out of order and nonsensical of Man of Steel and then Batman versus Superman using a Batman that we've never seen before and then Suicide Squad veering off. Like what is the cohesive story you're trying to tell? And the phases of Marvel are what make them successful. The fact that they're like, this will happen in phase 1, this will happen in phase 2, and they are steadily increasing in intensity and like of comic book assness. You know, and then Batman versus Superman is peak comic book bullshit where, kryptonite spears and bunch of nonsense.
And this is why I'm going back to if you're out there and you're on the fence about Justice League, but you like DC or you like comic books or comic book movies,
see it.
Go see this and truly pretend that they're starting over. Like, pretend that the stories don't matter. You can maybe pretend Wonder Woman still happened because that, weirdly enough, I guess beyond like the fact that Batman and Superman fought and then he died, like, but Batman wasn't the one who killed him.
Absolutely.
Like, really, you could just say that the Wonder Woman thing kind of still mattered in this. But it was so much fun to be like, oh, this is your intro to DC on screen, where it's like the first shit that's happening is this crazy, kind of bland god who shows up, and then you're seeing the Atlanteans and the.
It's cool. So, and what I said is, when you want to compare this to Marvel, stop. Because like it doesn't, like it's not as cohesive, it's not as interesting. But what this more is a live action version of a direct to DVD DC animated movie. It's entirely competent as that, because that's really what those things are, where it's like, oh, the Justice League gets together and beats up a guy. Like, there's like a bad guy and then they do the thing. And, they're varying degrees of quality, but that's very similar to what they're doing here. There's no, Steppenwolf, who gives a fuck? Like, Steppenwolf isn't Darkseid. Steppenwolf, he's just some strong guy. Yeah. And that's fine, to be perfectly honest. Like, that's kind of, if that's what they're going for, they're like, we need, these strong guys are going to fight this strong guy. And they're honest about that. And that's so refreshing. Like, they're not trying to say, like, look at all these layers of our story. Like, we're making the political commentary of BVS. It's no, strong guys fighting strong guys.
They're hoping you go into this a little blurry with what they've done before.
What happened? Yeah, exactly.
Because if you went in truly with absolute sober, cohesive thought, you'd be like, what the sweet shit is going on?
Isn't that kind of what Fox
here?
does with X-Men, where they're kind of hoping that you're not paying too close attention to the continuity of this bullshit?
I guess, but
and it's like it still happened, but we're not going to clarify exactly.
But beyond story and timeline stuff, that's like stylistically, those movies have pretty much stayed.
No,
I think
the first one in First Class. Go compare X-Men 1 with First Class.
You're comparing 10 years apart. That's not what I mean.
Okay.
I mean, like, compare Iron Man 1 to where we are now, and it's not what I mean, but, like, the cohesion of, like, oh, this was it at least happened over a year or two where things went space Marvel.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So, I don't know. I would say that this would be fucking jarring if someone went in. Like, it's funny, now I feel like this movie's it's gonna be polarizing in a different way that Batman vs. Superman was, because you had people who were hardcore, like, no, it's brilliant, and it's so, you just don't understand, a more artful, superhero movie. And if those are the people who went to see Justice League with that, they're going to be like so upset because that was not, this was DC, as we've said, they were like, fuck. Maybe we just have fun. I've said this before. I don't know if I've made this.
That should have been the tagline. Instead of unite the five, it's, oh, fuck, we should just have some fun. We should just have
some damn fun. I want to say this, and I think I might have this on Beef at some point. But the DC Marvel thing is interesting to me. And stop me if I really have said this before, but I had this impression when I started reading comics in middle school and in high school. My image of DC and damn it, what's another one? What's another one?
Shit. You fucked it up. It's too late.
God damn it, my dark horse of Marvel.
My image of DC and my Archie of Marvel.
Fuck. I always saw DC as the sillier quote unquote one, or the more bombastic, mythological these big beings of they're fucking gods, and they deal with
and that's their marketing. The gods among us is what they think of superheroes as, whereas Marvel's more like they're people, but they got big dudes. Powers.
They had a big thing happen.
Big power, small man. That's the Marvel formula,
right? And so it was weird to me then. because I did have this idea of Marvel being something that took itself, I don't want to say it took itself more seriously, but it had a more like feet on the ground thing. And then it was weird at some point, I guess before Justice League, where I was recognizing how weird it was that Marvel had sort of become the more, look at these icons, and in the Marvel universe, all the superheroes are famous.
Right.
They are basically gods, and they're like, you know what I mean? And then DC became this thing where it was like, yeah, what about a man who's sad on a farm? Came from space.
Right. Like it's a little bit more dark, and that's
And
more
to a varying degree, obviously they didn't like pull it off, but that's what they were up to. And that's why, to your point too, Max, like I had the same feeling last night. I was like, I didn't need them to stop doing what they were doing. I wanted them to just do it good.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, when framed like that, that's when I kind of just want to say, I wish they just started fresh, because I know that's probably a really messy option at this point as well.
Right.
But I mean, so is this, because, coming back to trilogies, I don't feel like DC has hit that TV show feeling yet, because I mean the previous film was called Dawn of Justice. That was the Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice to Justice League. So it feels like that's what was preparing us for this one. And so the absolute tonal shift and the relying on the previous events and really relying on the meta, like you kind of have to know who these characters are going into these films to get anything.
right. But on that same sorry.
Because, heck yeah, start the first film in the series with Superman's death. I love that idea, but it does also rely a little bit on, you going, okay, I know who Superman is going into this.
Right.
And that's what I was saying years ago when I was doing YouTube videos of, I'm going to say my favorite phrase, DC still has more cultural capital than Marvel's heroes. When you do the Marvel Studios intro and it's like, oh, you're seeing Cap and Thor and the Black Widow, and it's like, yeah, I love all these characters. They are not on the same level as Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Like, as far as like iconic superheroes, I'll give it to DC. I'm a Marvel fan. I'll give it to DC every time. Those are the iconic heroes.
It's hard to argue. You could say Spidey gets close.
I don't even think Spidey gets close. Like as far
as recognizable
a lot of
mythology, bit by a spider.
Right, but like people, they like Spider-Man, but like people regard Batman and Superman
it's just
with like a worship to it.
You're right.
And like even if you're not a huge fan, it's just Superman is such a part of like
mythology
of America's mythology of like these poor Jewish kids made this hero and he's the hero.
Yeah.
There's just there's like a weight to that I feel like they play. Yeah, Steppenwolf, absolutely. Right. Like the class, there's two.
I love that. That's so cool how they did that.
Okay,
sorry, I don't know, man.
We'll just say the name Steppenwolf from that. That's the fucking gag. But like to that point, they really rely on the cultural capital in this, and that's fine because they fucking can. It's like doing a movie about Jesus. Like everybody knows who Jesus is. We don't need this guy. We don't need a character to go, oh, this guy's the Son of God.
Yeah, right.
Wait, can we talk about how they do that every time in the movie? Like when Steppenwolf does show up, it's like this fucking god with this helmet and axe comes down, and then one of the Athenians or what the Amazon is just like, that's Steppenwolf, like from off screen.
We know, Kara.
And his design was different from the deleted BVS scene,
yeah, it's
right?
a bummer.
Oh God, I hate that a lot. And I know it's a deleted scene, it wasn't in it, and this is the more goofy, silly movie, but I would have less problem with it if he didn't look straight up bad. Like I think Steppenwolf looked very poor, and you made a great point, Dom, of we've hit this weird uncanny valley with CG where the close-up shots look pretty damn good, but then when you pull far away, everything looks like a fucking PlayStation 3 game.
Yeah.
And so and the fight with the Amazon specifically at the beginning of the movie is some of the worst fake guy fighting fake people in a place that doesn't exist I've ever seen in a movie. None of it looked real, fight. And I felt nothing. Yeah,
it was a cool. I love
like we got to chase the cube and like
keep the box away.
It's a unique fight scene, but it just looks like fucking garbage. It looked bad. Like I felt very frustrated by that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And I think
something, Max?
I think additionally, it's really strange coming off of Wonder Woman and its big final climax, because that has a big CGI armored guy as well. Like,
Right.
it's this weird thing where each film has ended with a big CGI battle against a guy in gray armor, kind of thing. And
Well, I will fight against the Wonder Woman fight as being trash because they're like stationary. You know what I mean? Like the firing blasts at each other towards the end.
Right.
No. I just wanted to make a greater point there. I feel like the fights in this a lot more interestingly choreographed. All of them. Like, and there's like a lot of really cool little action moments.
I enjoyed
that's where this movie.
the
Sorry,
Wonder Woman
what were you
fight
saying?
actually.
That's exactly what I was.
Dude.
No, that's exactly what I was going to
We
say. When
all
she
went-
shows up in the bank and she blocks it with her wrist, she blocks the
man.
bullet with her wrist that the terrorist fires, and I'm like, oh, that would have looked cool, like at a concept shot. But if she's just going to do that, and then when she did the run along,
Yeah.
blocking all the bullets, I got actual chills.
Yeah, I got chills.
I was like, that is the coolest thing I think I've ever
was so
seen in a
superhero.
superhero movie.
Yeah, I
think
wanna
it might have been the
see-
coolest thing.
Those are those fucking heavy superhero images that
She's
I
so
want to
powerful.
see.
She can do this.
Yeah, and
I
it just-
love that.
You're just like, oh yeah, she just saved all of them.
Yep.
Like every single one of those people is okay now.
Right. And either like the part where the bullets go in close to his face, she just kind of pushes him out of the way. So
Dude, all right. So I think we need to now, at least to try to get some semblance of structure. Can we go like maybe character to character here and,
Okay.
and sort of talk about
Well-
how we feel?
okay.
I feel like just before that, I want to ask: did you have a favorite moment in the movie, like
Probably
a
that one.
iconic moment that you will remember and be like, "Yeah, I love that bit."
That for sure was like the strongest one, but just even though, as you said that, like that hands down was what I think was the coolest one. But when I did remember that I saw this last night, the thing that went through my head and made me laugh again was Superman turning to look at Barry when he's running.
Right.
That was so fucking funny to me.
Yes.
And
It was good.
in such a. I don't know what that area is of it made me laugh, but it was cool as shit. Like
I think it's just because it's the realization of this is how strong
Oh,
Superman is. It's
God.
like, fuck.
I loved that a lot.
That moment is literally why I brought up this question, because that is my favorite moment in the whole film.
Dude,
what I love about it is that it's not only a great idea, but it's well done. Like, it's
is,
well
yeah.
set up because we see how fast and how Barry acts earlier in the movie. We get that sequence, and then we
Right.
get him doing it again, and Superman stops it.
I know, man.
And
don't know.
I kind of like, and that sets up the thing of, look, Superman's very fast. He's not as fast as the Flash, but he's like pretty close. And the fact that he's keeping up like this is insane. Like, and they do a good job of setting levels of power and getting you to understand
Yeah.
the strength of the characters and what they're good at. So, for instance, to your point, I think one of my other favorite action moments is the fight between Diana and Superman.
Yeah.
Where there's a moment when, they're headbutting each other and he flies up in the air and smashes her down maybe about like 6 feet, 8 feet.
sure.
But it's just such like an intense smash where it's like, oh, this is Superman.
Jesus
this is what he can do. And this is what,
Right.
But to the fault, as soon as Superman gets introduced, all the other Justice League members kind of fall to the wayside because he can do everything they can do.
What's the best part about that part of the movie too is like they're like, we did it, and now he's alive. What a good thing for us in our battle. Hey, where are you going? And then he like goes away for a bit to like have a little holiday with Lois. And
I didn't
they
understand
don't
what was
even-
going on in that sequence.
I think they were saying he needs to heal. He needs to get back to his senses. Fine, I can buy it. I don't care.
Okay.
Whatever, sure. But it was like you just imagine them writing or whatever, and they're like, and then they do it, and Superman is alive. Okay, wait, but we don't want them to win yet.
Right.
If they win now, we don't make any more money. I don't think, like, not to say that's exactly what I don't mean that.
We made a big mistake.
But then they were like, all right, just what do we give them, make them go away? Can you just go away?
Right.
Yeah, we have one note from WB. Could Superman just go away? Oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess he could. I mean, he lives in Kansas. We can send him to Kansas.
And then when he does show up, you're right. As soon as he shows up in the final battle, it's like, oh, we're done.
Right. Here's Goku.
Everyone just gets to go like,
Right.
woo!
Thank
That was
God.
close.
Sorry, Max. What were you saying?
No, I mean, we can go character to character down.
Yeah, all right. Who shows up
Wait,
first?
real quick regarding.
Let's talk about Steppenwolf.
Oh yeah, dude. Okay, wait. Real quick.
That one was great. Okay, so I really like the characterization.
Yeah.
I had a point, but I forget it now, so I don't care.
I was confused when Steppenwolf showed up and he called the.
Wait, go back for a
Amazon-
second because I want to remember this. You were talking about before we were talking about Superman. Oh, him coming back. So with Henry Cavill, I think that he's a good Superman. I like him being he does this like truth and justice thing really well. He's bad at being mean. He's very bad at it.
I kind of liked evil
when he's
Superman.
holding Batman, he's like, "Do you bleed?"
I kind of liked it. It was
doing
weird.
a bit.
I don't know.
This sucks.
I like pretty much everything about Henry Cavill's Superman. I just think it's fatiguing at this point to see him frowning. Like,
Right. Yeah, come on. Show me him being like righteous and kind.
There's nothing to juxtapose against, basically.
Right. And I
And what
also
an ultimate-
didn't. Okay, sorry.
DC when they're like, all right, yeah, we're gonna show you Superman smiling. Unfortunately, half of that smile was done in post.
I mean,
Unfortunately,
Well, so
half
this-
of that smile cost $3 million.
This is a perfect segue point, so we can start with Superman, right?
Sure.
sure.
So okay, Max.
And
go for it.
I want to say I'm a defender of
The Rotten?
his
So are we.
Of his character in the previous films. You know, he does have moments where he is smiling. You know, that did become kind of a meme about that. Oh, Superman never smiles, but it is a very introspective, oh, I have to think about my actions kind of movie, like particularly
Yeah.
BVS. But
Right.
so I don't want to give this movie the award of saying, oh, finally he smiled, because I feel like that's been there before. It's just become the in pop culture to say, oh, Superman didn't smile in those movies. I feel like it's there. It's just not as in your face as it is in this one.
That's true. I liked Batman's like first scene because again, this was
We're talking about Superman.
Superman's.
We're going from character to character. You suggested such a thing.
Yeah, but Superman's.
Batman is a lot like Superman, so let's talk about Batman.
Yeah, it was just like they both got capes and the one they're both white.
I don't think Superman didn't get into a full bathtub and clothes enough in this movie for me. I feel like
But he
that's
did
really
once.
what he was missing.
He did enough.
Yeah,
They put him into a big yellow bathtub.
that's true.
In clothes.
In clothes. That's true. Fuck, you're right. Damn it! I can't believe I forgot about that scene.
It needed like one more time.
There's one dude on set who is like that's his fetish of like people in clothes in like full outfits in a bathtub. He's like maybe he should maybe he should be wearing a full suit jacket and a tie too. The tie gets
But this
all
is
wet.
again to my point when they put him in that. If you were watching this movie and it was your first one and Superman had been dead the whole time, you didn't really ever get to really see
Yeah.
him except for that stupid thing. And then the whole time they're showing, they like don't
You
show
hear
his dead
you
body.
hear the line, the Kryptonian ship has an amniotic sac, and you're like, what the
fuck does that mean? But that's what I mean too. Of like those are the things that I almost would rather be unexplained, and you're just sort of got to be like, cool. I guess that's part of this world,
Right.
I guess they did that at
Exactly.
some point.
And it's much more easier to accept when it's just like, here it is.
But anyway, so Superman, fine, whatever. I was underwhelmed with him in this. I feel weird. I feel like, are we being like, have I been super negative? Because I do feel like I left again pleasantly surprised. I don't want to act like every single part of this was like a downer or something.
Sure.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I think it was the fucking lip. I'm not gonna lie. I genuinely, it really was. It was bumming me out.
Right.
Because how do you not like one, especially going in and you're looking for it like. That's exactly where my eyes went every time he was
Right.
on screen. I was like, is this where he's got the real lip?
Nobody will look at his mouth moving. That's not a thing that the eyes will naturally draw
Don't
to.
worry, no one will notice.
I don't know, man. I think that they did the best with what they had, and it is just like a contract dispute thing, and it's the unfortunate realities of Hollywood. I just wish it looked better.
Yeah, it's just what did they have before the reshoots? Because there
Exactly.
are a lot of
Right.
scenes of him with the lip scenes.
Right.
I what like did he even get resurrected in the middle of this film? Was it much later in the original like draft? But I think putting aside the lip, if one can, I think the thing that's missing in this film, as far as Superman goes, is his chemistry in a way with Lois, because Man of Steel and BVS if you strip away everything else, it is a love story between Clark and Lois. She represents humanity. She is the thing that grounds him. You know, before he kills himself, before he sacrifices himself, he says, "You are my world." And I just don't feel like we got enough with them in this. We didn't get enough of
I agree.
we got a bigger reaction from Martha seeing him alive than we did Lois, and I wanted to it speaks about your film when Pirates of the Caribbean 5 Dead Men Tell No Tales has a better emotional reunion moment than this. I don't know if anyone saw that except me, but
no, I didn't see that one.
And Lois's arc is just nonsense, where she shows you like, you'd be so disappointed in me. Oh, like, what did you do? Are you like addicted to drugs now, or is there? No, I do slightly less at my job now. I'm just slightly less ambitious in my life. That's what happened when my husband, who is God, died.
Now, see,
I tried slightly less hard. Like, what the fuck? What is the catharsis here? Like, what are we supposed to be feeling?
There's a lot going on with Superman and Lois for me in these ones. Mostly being that Amy Adams I have a troubled relationship with as someone who I watch on the movie screen.
Oh.
What?
Just like, I was making her coffee one day. She threw it in my face. Said, "Make it again." And
she said, "Make it again. I'm Lois Lane." I said, "I know."
This was like 1999 too, so it was just,
it was
I don't know what she was thinking.
But like, I don't know. I go in and out with her where she just unfortunately, and not even to her fault. Like, I don't like. It feels like such a mean thing to pick on someone for, but she's one of those people where I just unfortunately feel like I'm watching her act. Sure. I feel like I'm watching someone know that they're acting and doing a thing away.
It's 100% the script, though. I just don't think
yeah, but I've seen her do that in there's other movies where I've watched her do that. But then, like, weirdly, then there's another one where I'm like, whoa, she's great. Like, and I'm totally, and I'm taken away, and she's the character, and that's it.
Well, it's almost like maybe it's one of those actresses that needs to be directed. Like, she's a strong actress.
She clearly is
a strong director, and
she is disappointed with this.
I'm sure she is. Movie. Yeah, I feel because she's an actor of caliber, I think.
Yeah, and that's what I mean too. Is like it's weird.
Everybody in this movie is kind of an actor of caliber. Like, you really think about it. You know what?
Here's where it's like. Then my problem is my excuses dwindle when you watch someone like whatever Billy Crudup whatever comes in.
Crud hat.
Yeah, sure. Really crud hat.
Red credit.
Comes in and he is in it for like a minute total through the whole movie.
Wait,
he's
in this
great.
movie?
He was Barry's dad.
Oh.
And
I thought that was the Phantom. Of course, Billy. Whatever.
Wait.
No, that's Billy Zane.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Billy Zane played the Phantom.
All right, cool. Billy Crudup's Dr. Manhattan. You could have gone that way.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, you're right. I get this shit mixed up all the time. Yeah, big blue guy, controls atoms. The Phantom. Whatever.
All right, whatever.
What
was I saying?
Hell.
What the fuck was I saying, Tim?
Yeah.
Amy Adams?
Yeah, I struggle with my. It's hard for me to get taken by the spell of the movie sometimes with her. I feel like I'm sometimes pulled out, and it also just this is again, and we talked about this, and I don't like the Zack Snyder across the board like dude shouldn't be making movies. Blah blah. We've said this before. I think we said this during even Batman vs Superman, where it's like. It's not like I don't know. It's not like he doesn't have anything to say. I just think that there's a loss in translation from his heart to his
right.
The manufacturing of his stories, because something happens where he thinks a thing is enough to make people buy in or to make people feel a feeling, and it's just not.
Sure.
And it's like a bummer, and I wish like I don't know what to do about that. Like that's why I don't know. I sometimes think there's something because he didn't have nothing to do with Wonder Woman. You know, he's been the hand of this universe, so to speak, as far as we know. People have said that he was a good, I think Patty Jenkins said he was a great producer on it. He was helping with keeping the style the same. And it's like I kind of almost wonder is like, oh, is that a better fit
for him?
For him
sure.
Is like that thing where you're because Wonder Woman has the same kinds of fights and stuff.
Maybe as a Feige more than a
and they come in and direct an action scene or whatever and
directed Iron Man.
Favreau.
So more of a Feige than a Favreau.
But I don't know. She unfortunately, because her service to the story is this like emotional connection for Superman. She just unfortunately is looped into that little corner where I'm like,
Sure.
you're not hitting me. You're not getting me.
And I think what you may have an issue with is even the character of Lois Lane.
In these movies, hands down, I think I don't know what she is. What is she? What does she do?
Other than an extension of Superman or something to give Superman meaning, what is her agency?
But even then,
they've tried to establish it, but they haven't done a great job.
I don't even know what she does for him in these movies. I don't know.
I don't know if that's entirely fair. Because I've watched these films probably 18 times each, just in editing them, and like the scenes that always get to me, the scenes that I always get caught up in and go, okay, I see what they're doing, are typically the Lois and Superman / Clark scenes. Like whatever they're doing there is displaying the core of their idea to me anyway, and
Okay.
I
It just feels false to me. Like it feels unearned or something.
And that's fine. Because BVS is a great example of not telling you what you should be feeling scene by scene. But I don't know. Like I understand. I can sympathize with what you're saying about Amy Adams. I don't mind her as much. But in a way,
I feel the same way for what it's worth about Ben Affleck in these, where I've now become too aware that he's like being Batman and he's doing a Bruce Wayne thing,
right?
And like now every time he was speaking or doing a mannerism or something, I was like, you're
Bruce
pretending to be Batman.
I've never felt like Ben Affleck is Batman,
and I can buy into it. Like it's easy for me to though just be like, well, it's Batman. It's just he's Batman. And so I think when he literally has the costume on, I'm more like, that's Batman. That is him. But like, there's something about, and maybe it was because I don't know who did his makeup in this movie, but every time he's Bruce Wayne, he looks like a scary fucking doll from the 1920s. Like his cheeks were red and puffy and rosy. He looks like plastic. He looks like Santa Claus when Santa leaves the North Pole. Yeah. He makes a little toy version of himself.
He looks like a little German boy, like with like a little spinning hat.
It's
and
really
like a large
weird.
lollipop.
I don't know what that. Did no one else notice that? He looked like he got sunburned or something. And then they put a protective layer of wax over his face.
So yeah, we'll talk about Batman now. I think that I don't like the way that they do Batman in these. I think they did him dirty. Specifically because, so Batman's thing, as everyone knows, is prep time. That's like the big meme with Batman, is like Batman can beat anybody with prep time, and he seems wholly unprepared for almost everything that he runs into. And granted, look, he's fighting an alien god with a fire axe, okay? How prepared could you be? And this is a man who didn't know any, feasibly lived in our world up until he met Superman last year. So I get it, but he's a genius, right? And he's always in control. And it's a different characterization of Bruce Wayne. I understand that. But I ultimately don't understand what Bruce Wayne or Batman contributes to the Justice League as a whole. Like, aside from providing them money, and giving them, a place to be. Well, when he's sitting there and he's fighting the individual para-demons,
right.
And struggling with one-on-one with one of them, it's like, what is this guy doing here? He's not even using a weapon. He's using his Gatling, punching them. Just from a choreography, a fight choreography perspective, I'm like, this isn't very interesting. This is a poor use of Batman. I like the fight scene choreography for the most part, except for Batman.
And they touch on him a little bit in just talking about he and Diana talk a bit about what it is to be a leader and that sort of thing. And that's kind of the role that he could have stepped into,
Max?
especially during the final stuff, is that I'm comparing to Marvel, but there's a moment in Avengers 1 where Hawkeye gives Iron Man some advice on how the Chitauri ships bank or whatever. My god.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Are we okay?
Okay, you're going to want to back up about 2 minutes.
No, it was like... Oh, we were recording on your end.
Fuck.
What did that sound like to you?
A big thump.
Well, that's pretty accurate. It was a big thump.
We don't know what you said.
Oh, okay.
In fact, it's actually pretty funny because it's like Batman and Diana, they know what it's like. And the Chitauri ships.
Yeah, we were talking about Chitauri.
No. I'll try and transition back into it. Batman and Diana were talking a bit about what it was to be a leader, and I think that's what Batman should have stepped very prominently into.
Right.
In that final fight, is he could have been the guy calling the shots and really analyzing the tactics.
I agree.
And everything, and you know, sure, just driving around in his car if need be, but that everyone else is a little bit not great because they've never worked as a team, or you know, because one of the greatest, a moment that I also really like is when he pulls the Flash aside and he says, "Just save one guy." I think that's just a nice concept to give it. Like, I think Flash is probably my favorite character in this.
See,
like,
I guess we could go there.
Granted, it was poorly timed, I think, but the moment itself is a nice, I'm experienced, I have 20 years under my belt, and you've never done this before. That's what Batman could have been to everyone.
Sure.
And
I agree.
You're right.
It's missing.
Except for,
I want to say most of the
time. Been alive for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Just like, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's like, really? I'm a million.
Well,
like, what the fuck can you teach me,
I did
Mr.
appreciate, as far as, like, weirdly enough, it was something that didn't bother me so much. Like, it's more that I was just glad that they addressed it. Was like, why the fuck had she disappeared for 100 years?
Right. And
like,
and
why? Because
about
especially the way that Wonder Woman ended, you're like, well, that doesn't seem like that's what would happen with her. It seemed like she was like, oh, now I'm the best. Now I'm great. And now I'm going to be helpful all the time. Every day I'm out there. Nah. She's like, you know what? That was super scary.
Right.
I'm going to take a nap for a little bit.
Up and
that was...
Cool. So, sorry, what?
Oh, no, I was just going to start talking about Wonder Woman, but we can bring it back to Justice League.
Well, I want to talk about the Flash. So we'll pop over into the Flash, because you say he's your...
Right.
Just, why is he your favorite character in the thing?
Because I think he had the best established point A and point B. I felt like they established, his relationship with his father. He was at a point in his life where he wants to run in a particular direction that he's not able to right now. And then he's called into something else. He has to grow because of the events that happen. And then in the final montage, we see he now has a direction. He has the goal that he can reach. And when we go to the Flash movie, we know what we've set up. We know that his father's in prison for this, this, and this. But like, comparatively, looking at, say, Aquaman, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what he's about. Right. Exactly. And I think that's a valid criticism, but I think what you're overlooking with the Flash is that every time he says anything, it sucks. And everything involving him is bad.
No,
and his characterization of Barry Allen sucks.
The problem
and
is
every delivery of every joke is bad.
It's too much of too much, man.
It's the
fact
I think it's also him.
The problem is that every single thing he says is like a joke, and
it's also
he doesn't really. And
line.
that gets exhausting. And I like that role. Usually, that's what's funny is that's usually my favorite guy, right? He's the dude.
Sure.
He's the funny whatever, and he's kind of stumbling around. He's not used to this. Fine.
Look, and I've said this since the beginning. Maybe cast a guy with comedy chops if you're gonna do that. Like, I don't think that Ezra Miller is a bad actor. I think that he's not particularly funny. And every time he delivers a line, it was actually like nails on a chalkboard for me, because you're right. And it is that Joss Whedon-y style dialogue and humor that he's saying.
Right.
And that's truly where it's coming from. But it feels like a guy quoting the line from the movie. You know what I mean? Or reading it at an audition. It just feels like he's not really talking to the character or playing off of the energy or the chemistry. It just feels so fucking by the numbers. We're going to say a funny thing and hopefully it lands.
I find it interesting that you comment on it like that, because excluding the Superman scenes, there were occasions where you could tell when things jumped from a Snyder scene to a Whedon scene. And notably, I found in Flash's introduction, when he walks in and Bruce Wayne is sitting in his chair, and in the scene where they go into the Batcave and he's dashing up and down and everything. So I wonder if those were the moments where they were like, ooh, time to write in some quippy Flash dialogue, because I think he probably would have, in a weird way, meshed better in Snyder's cut, where everyone's a little bit more serious. But when it's played with more comedic elements, it has a weirder contrast, I think.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I understand your perspective, but I want to offer two counters. One, he sucked. I really wouldn't change. Look, I know I'm being overly negative about this, but like it was really upsetting to me because I love The Flash, and honestly, I'm thinking like, why is this not Grant Gustin? Like, it might as well have been somebody who's. I'm just not charmed by him at all. And also the scene where he walks in and sees Bruce Wayne, that was shown at Comic-Con like 2 years ago. You remember that?
It was like last
year. They
year.
showed that full scene, so that was
not the whole scene.
That was before
not
the
brunch.
Joss.
Not the brunch.
Right.
That was not in that scene. That was a Whedon. That was a Whedonism. I'll stand by friends.
That. Actually, I don't have any friends.
I do, and I will stand by that. I think it was just the fact that he said a little too much. That was, it was just all jokes. It was, I don't know, and it made it hard for you to be like, I buy this.
Right.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
I did describe him as.
Sorry, I was really confused because breaking news is that Matt Reeves wants Jake Gyllenhaal to be Batman for his movie.
That would be so fucking funny if it's suddenly Jake Gyllenhaal.
I mean, this is like because it's clearly he's been pretty vocal, Ben Affleck, that he's like trying to get out.
Right. That's
interesting.
True.
Sorry, I thought it was like a confirmed thing, so I was like a little quiet just there for a second. I was like, is this about to?
It could be because I mean you have a similar situation with Ed Norton and Mark Ruffalo for the transition, but Edward Norton wasn't the Hulk for like 2 or 3 movies. Right. They switched him out.
Weird. It's
I
weird
really, I mean, if we're talking about this as a tangent or whatever, I really hope Ben Affleck gets to do his standalone Batman film. And I just want to see him like a bit separate from the mess that it's been,
right?
And see what comes out of that. Because if that's good, I felt sad for so many people involved in this,
right?
And I just want someone to be happy.
I do too, and I think that if you want this to fail, I mean, we've said this a million times, you're an asshole. Like, there's no reason why not everybody shouldn't want a great Justice League movie. There's no why would you want it to fail? It's maybe you're annoyed with superhero movies, sure, but the reason you're annoyed with superhero movies is because they're typically not super great, right? Or there's something about it that's not ringing true for you. So why would you want it to be bad? And I get it, but there is like a level of Schadenfreude watching this whole thing just fall the fuck apart and like end here where they're like, fine, we're doing Avengers Light. That's fine. We will. But I will also say, I do think that the choreography, the fight choreography in this is better than, at least more memorable than anything I've seen in an Avengers movie. The fight in the sewer is particularly memorable. I mean, for the wrong reasons, the fight on the field in Greece is memorable. And even the final fight's kind of cool. Like the way that they finally kill him, and they turn his power on himself.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is surface level, but that's fun.
Yeah,
why not?
I liked Batman having bruises.
That's true.
That was cool. That was a good moment.
I didn't love. Oh god, everything's bleeding. It's like, man, maybe don't do that. Maybe don't make those jokes.
That was I think that was another one of those like reshoot things. Like maybe we get like a shot of him on the ground saying it hurt.
Yeah. There are the yelling jokes off screen punch ups in this. Did you notice that? And it's usually the Flash. He's like, did he just do that? Like that's like 6 times
your impression
in
of
the
him?
movie. Yes, thank you.
Did we talk about Aquaman?
Who cares?
I do. I liked him.
He was
I
okay.
care.
But he was the one that they spent the least time developing. You got this sense of him where they introduce him and like he's standoffish. It's like, whoa, what's the deal with this guy? And he saves that fisherman from like the drowning in the water, right? So there's like a crazy thing going on in the water, and I'm like, oh, he saved that guy, and he's about to jump back in the water and fight some kind of like crazy monster that caused that storm, or like something is going on here because he drinks the alcohol and he's drinking down that fucking whole bottle of whiskey, and Icky Thump is playing, and he dives into the water, and turns out he's just swimming.
He's gonna go home. Yeah,
like that's what's happening. And you're building him. They kept building him up, and I never got a true sense of who he was or what he really wanted.
I guess it was just like I'm having a way easier time being forgiving of this one and being just like, sure,
of course, we're
just
nitpicking.
buying in, because like it wasn't asking me to really care about all of that stuff about him. in this one, like it wasn't. I never felt like I was supposed to be feeling something that I wasn't feeling.
Right.
It was kind of just like, yeah, he's the guy who shows up and is kind of cool.
Probably the most visually interesting character, though. I think with Aquaman, I like his costuming, and Jason Momoa is just like, he doesn't look like a real human man. He just looks like some kind of just sexy beast that somebody drew and then brought to life.
Yeah.
He's just an otherworldly attractive man.
I very much appreciated how he spoke.
Yeah.
As a fun. I don't know. That was really funny to me too.
I
was glad
liked
that
his
yeah
lines.
made it in from the trailer. When
He lands on the back. Very funny. Just
was
like a
down with
friggin'
that.
bro.
Yeah.
But the big surprise, I think, for me, the happy surprise is Cyborg.
I like
ended up
Cyber too.
liking-
I was worried I was gonna be like,
Right.
yeah.
Because when they introduce him, it's like, why is he kind of being a dick? You have to realize this guy is also a genius. Like, he was a genius before they put him in the
Right.
cyber suit, and they do mention that. And he's just so competent, and he's the only one there who's really learning about his power. He's the freshest one out of all of
Yeah.
them, and his thing is dynamic, and it's developing over the course of the movie. And his character is developing over the course of the movie. Like, he's bitter about his power, and
Yeah.
he starts to understand it a little bit better. I was pleasantly surprised with how they did it. And
feels
he
like-
fit in. My issue with it at the beginning, I'm like, why is this not the Green Lantern? Like, why Cyborg? But I'm very glad they did Cyborg, because they also had that he's linked to the villain, right? Ultimately, the source of his power is the
Right,
source
sure.
of the thing that they're fighting.
Right, the Chitauri weapon. I mean,
Yeah,
the goddamn it.
the Tesseract.
Damn
Fuck,
it.
I mean, the power box. This is so fucking funny
Yeah.
that Marvel is like, it's the Tesseract, and this one they're like, it's the strong cubes.
It's the big box got the,
re-
big power.
the real tough.
It does the boom boom. You gotta get the boom boom box
Like,
and keep it
whatever.
away.
Who cares?
I know, I'm making
It's
fun
the
of it. But,
the source of the all the energy in the
well,
universe. whatever.
the line was, you really had a strong reaction to it physically when it doesn't contain power. It is power.
Yeah, right.
Or something like that. And you were like, no, for fuck's sake.
It's the MacGuffin is what
Yeah.
these fucking things are.
Doesn't contain power. It's we need to get it because we want to keep having a story.
On that note, like and that parallel, I found it really strange how similar the Themyscira scene was to the opening
bless you.
of Avengers, because they walk in and everybody's surrounded this box,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
doing something strange, and then a huge beam shoots out and brings down the thing that wants the box, and I was just like, oh, it's Loki coming in and doing his deal at the beginning of it. Like, I was just like,
Right.
you already have the important cube. Do you want to maybe do something that doesn't seem like that in this one?
Right. Absolutely. It's just such an easy device to go for.
I don't think it's purposeful. I don't know if it's like insidious or something, but I do think that stuff is like, even on their end, they are unfortunately tapped into that wavelength that Marvel has out, and that's just like a thing. That's like the
I
pop
don't know.
culture thing of like
Right.
that the aliens came once and there was this big thing, and now I mean everything after the first Avengers in the Marvel universe has been in some way some sort of like echo of aliens showed up this one day.
Absolutely. And I mean, you do have to reckon with the fact that there's pretty much an equivalent. There's a DC Marvel equivalent for pretty much every hero.
Yeah. I don't know if it's completely fair, but it's with these particular.
But it is strange to say, like,
movies.
hey, I know you're building the motion picture universe and you're going to take it the exact same direction. That seems very weird and ill-advised, but who cares? This really is
Yeah,
Avengers
like-
Light. And honestly, I would say go see it. It is kind of fun.
It was fun,
It is a
dude.
fun
I
night
don't
at the
know.
movies.
It feels like your action figures, and again, it wasn't offensive. This one didn't bum me out with anyone. I didn't feel like they did anyone super dirty. Like, of course you're like, I mean, we're disappointed with something every time we
Right.
come out of these Marvel movies we love.
How about the Green Lantern tease? I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. It's at the beginning of the movie too.
Yeah.
Like, where they're just showing it. And do you remember the scene, Max? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's just yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know, whatever you see, and like with help from other worlds, and you see a Green Lantern get killed, and his ring just flies off somewhere onto the planet, and it's like, oh, good. But it also warmed my heart because I love the Green Lantern, and he's probably my favorite DC hero. Like, just the whole.
What are the DC bad guys?
What do you mean?
The Sinister Six? What are they?
The
Who are they going to be at the end of this?
the League of
Extraordinary. What is it?
Legion of Doom.
Oh, the Legion of Doom.
That's
Good.
the one.
No, I was
Legion of
worried it was going to be silly.
Extraordinary Villain.
No, that's good.
But yeah, and I love the Green Lantern, and you know the movie sucked, and I was afraid that DC would try to bury it like entirely. We're not even going to address it, and it does warm my heart that they do recognize the value of that character and those powers and that whole thing of having like a neat space core. No, of course. Excuse me.
And I'm also glad that that was one of the things they kept secret in all their press and media and everything.
Absolutely.
Like
I mean, it's one shot.
That was the one big surprise for me anyway going in. Because I tried to avoid as much as possible, but I still heard little bits and pieces. I knew Steppenwolf and the Mother Boxes and Henry Cavill's mustache, but it was still really satisfying.
The big marketing.
Yeah. No, it was still really satisfying to have that like, oh, moment. Particularly because like, do you remember the first promo image they released of Aquaman and it said like Unite the Seven on it? Did they drop that?
Yeah, they dropped that entirely.
Yeah.
Because there were only six.
Right.
There were only 6 of them and he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that was ultimately their thing, that he would have been the guy. Oh, God damn it.
This is the problem.
It's funny, and this will be the tell-all book in 10 years is going to be insane, and we're going to, there's going to be a million articles on a website called like moviejack.zone. It'll be like the top 10 craziest things that could have happened in the DC universe. Did you know that Green Lantern was supposed to be a living ape? He was supposed to be an ape with the ring. Guys, it is late.
Yeah. Have we hit what we wanted to say, Max? Did you say what you needed?
About all the characters or just about
I think we covered
the film
it.
entirely?
I guess we can.
Can we talk about just like general side characters real quick? Because Commissioner Gordon was in this movie.
For why?
Yeah.
For what?
Oh my God. Way to burn J.K. Simmons. Doesn't even say anything particularly humorous. Like it's just Gordon. It's just
I'm just
Gordon.
wondering. Yeah, it was just weird because they could have had that scene somewhere else, not on the roof of the GCPD. Like
Right.
I'm just trying to understand what. That's my big thing, and this can come back to the broader scope, but that's my big thing with this is like, I don't feel like I've seen it.
Holy shit. That is so true.
I kind of know what you mean, yeah.
Because, this is a bad comparison, which I think I've seen a couple people make already, but it reminds me a bit of the 2015 Fantastic Four I came out and I was just like, I don't feel like I can pass immense judgment on this movie because I don't feel like I saw a movie, really.
Right.
I don't know what this
I would
became
give this a little
from the original
more credit
vision.
than that.
Yeah, no.
I said when I got home last night, I was like, you know what? I would watch that like on FX in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much that's cut up and rearranged in this that I can't. It's so difficult to tell which parts were intentional arrangements and which weren't, and it just leaves me with this feeling of I don't know what happened.
And there you go. There is like the pitfalls of corporate filmmaking where it doesn't feel like anything has any real momentum or purpose when things happen. So it is just we're going to have these pieces and we fit them into place in a somewhat logical way and really push this thing out as a commercial product. And that's fine, right? But it does lead into weird, like, I want to say cognitive dissonance or like uncanny valley with the movie where I'm watching a movie, but it's not really saying anything.
It's not doing it.
It's just really, it is a weird feeling.
Though, to give this credit where it's due, this was the most of like, I think across the board, it knew what it was doing more than any of the other ones did.
Sure.
As far as, maybe you could say, I don't know. I just keep forgetting about Man of Steel because now at this point, it's like, was that really part of this? Because
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like,
My son was on the bus. He saw what Clark did.
yeah, it's
remember that?
Clark with his weird, like kid Clark with a weird fucking upper lip. Just like everybody.
They've gone back and they've redone all the lip shots of Clark and the whole movie. Like, no, it was always that way.
Kryptonians actually just have double the length of upper lips of regular humans. That's just the genetic.
God.
Yeah. Okay.
But before we move on to final thoughts, I do want to ask, Dom specifically, but as a general discussion point, the music. What did you think and why?
I was bored and I was let down. Like, you know, when they say Danny Elfman is coming back and he's fucking scoring the Justice League,
Right.
You're like, whoa, maybe we'll get something cool. But he's one of those weird dudes who sort of has in recent memory, like, I think he's maybe a little older and he sort of lost a spark, or he's maybe become too much of the machine in a way that, like, because these guys now at this point, they have like a fucking army, like,
Right.
and they still do come up with their themes and they still do their own little compositions of like, this is what I think it's gonna sound like. I don't mean to like completely take that away from him, but like, I don't know, it's just, what was it? It was like and again they said we're bringing back. They made a big deal about it. We're gonna do the Batman theme again from the '80s movie. He's gonna do his theme, and we're also gonna bring the John Williams themes back in.
Right.
And then both time the way they did it every time though was all the like sad versions.
Yeah. Well, there's one, and they don't play them prominently enough, I think. There's a moment when he's in the Batmobile and it goes the da 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 da.
Yeah, but even
but it's so far back
Yeah,
in
it's
the
just
mix
so
and like
way.
covered under a bunch of other shit. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Exactly that. But it did make me think, hearing all those themes go one after another, realize that Junkie XL's Wonder Woman theme to me is just as iconic as those two themes.
Oh, yeah,
I will
it
always
kinda-
remember it. It'll stuck in my head forever. And I didn't even really love Wonder Woman all that much. Like the movie, but that theme is just so solid and it's just so aggressive. And this is what she's a bit like it. I was really listening to it. I was really trying to break it down. And it is the timpani, and it's the like the almost
timpani.
tribal drum that evokes the Amazonian thing to it. That's what makes it for me. Is that
Sure.
and it's like, yeah. Nick made the point of this doesn't have the electric guitars that version has. This is strings.
electric cello,
Right.
Or some shit. I think
or
that was
whatever
cello.
that fucking crazy noise is. It's
Oh
great.
my
It's
gosh.
great. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, man.
It's just Danny Elfman's nephew, like a 6-year-old.
Yeah, but I think the mixing of these different themes speaks to the nature of the entire film. Of like, I don't know what I'm watching, because
I agree. I don't think
it's-
they knew.
it's
what
not
they were doing.
Yeah, it to me, it's it's not that version of Batman, so it can't be that theme. It's not that version of Superman, so you can't. Those themes are iconic and incredibly memorable, and will go down in history as they have. But it's Henry Cavill's Superman, so you can't do
but-
Christopher Reeve's Superman theme. That's
What the problem is that they got close with the Man of Steel themes that I would recognize. Like if you play, I would know those. And it's not like I listen to those all the time, but I would recognize what it was from.
Yeah.
You remember that first fucking trailer with those drums coming up? Do you remember that?
For which?
Yeah.
For the Man of Steel. That
Yeah.
first teaser, that was nuts. I was like, oh my God, this is new.
Man of Steel is probably still the best trailer I think I've seen in a long time.
That's
It's
a
a great
good-ass trailer.
It's a great
the-
trailer, and then the movie is just is. And then that's the thing where that's Zack Snyder's thing, where he gives you great tableaus that have no real substance to them.
but yeah,
and
at the-
it's classical art. Sorry, were you saying?
yeah,
that?
just coming back to the music, like it, they're playing all the different motifs and themes in that final battle, but at the same time, the most that I ever felt like the Justice League were working in a cohesive unit was at the end of BVS, because all the music was supporting that. It would transition from the Wonder Woman theme into Superman's theme into Batman's theme, and I was like, yeah, what, this is a team right now. And
Right.
say what you want about the actual fight, but it's the moment where I was on board with the idea of the Justice League, and because of the music, and this can come back all the way to what I was saying with Clark and Lois as well, was the removal of those themes and motifs removed the poignancy that these scenes should have had based on what they were set up to become.
Which is
So-
then here we are again with the soft reboot.
Yeah.
Also,
and
the Flash and Cyborg don't have a theme. I guess.
The Flash
Superman
had one.
doesn't
I
either.
couldn't tell you what it was, but it was that kind of boring. Like I recognized it when they did it, but
it's Danny Elfman's Hulk theme. I listened to the soundtrack afterwards, and I was like, oh, he used his Hulk music. There's also stuff that
Wait.
sounds like Doc Ock's music from Spider-Man 2.
Did he do the Ang Lee Hulk?
Yeah.
I had no
I didn't even know
idea.
that. And why do you not do the Flash's theme like you do the Spider-Man? Like the really fast violin.
He just did the Spider-Man. Hey, wait a second. You can't pull that.
And yeah, no disrespect to Danny Elfman, the guy, because he has made some great music for some great movies. It's just such a weird choice to do this. And
Right,
This-
but then again, it's like, whose fault is it? Like, nobody knows.
It's
That's the thing.
disappointing,
Yeah.
but we were talking about it with the Thor thing, where something that came up for me. This I tried to give music now, especially in these movies, a little more credit, or at least a little more sympathy, because apparently they're getting less time than they ever had before to score these things, because the movies aren't finished until closer
Yeah.
now. Like that's getting crazy. So I get it and I sympathize, but then it's like, I don't know, dude. You think about John Williams, who has come up with literally the most themes that you would be able to recognize immediately,
Right.
and then comes into, The Force Awakens and has to do more Star Wars themes that people are going to recognize
Yeah, for
forever.
sure.
And he did it. I would know Rey's theme immediately.
That's true, but like I feel like the Star Wars machine is a lot more efficient than the DC movie.
Well, yeah, I know. I just mean is like I don't know. I try to have sympathy, but then at the same time, you're like, well, but come on, you're allowed to be disappointed.
Yeah,
I guess.
but every single
I'm
project
I'm
has different
disappointed.
circumstances about its production.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
Yes,
but who's to say that Danny Elfman had he might have 2 weeks. They're
yeah,
like, yeah, we're
whatever.
done. There
Well,
you go.
I mean-
All right, how we feel?
Whatever.
yeah, he did.
Sorry, what do you say, Max?
Because they threw Junkie XL off the project very late in the game and basically said, "Hey,
Right.
Danny, do all new stuff." So,
Right.
which seems
Yeah, that's a
crazy
bummer.
to
I
me.
get it.
Like, I don't know. That was in a way my biggest disappointment about the film in general was the score, because you can save a lot of dampened moments with a great score. And it just wasn't that for me. And also knowing that I want to do a fan edit of this made it extra difficult for me, because I want these films to act as a cohesive idea. So I'm going to have to, work some magic there.
You can cut in deleted scenes from BVS. Who knows?
All right,
All right,
I'm tired.
We'll do some fucking
Okay.
final thoughts.
Yeah.
I'll kick it off. I liked it. Go see it. I mean, well, if you've listened to this, you've probably already seen it. But suggest it to your dad or a coworker. It's really that kind of movie. It's a movie
like,
for a
sure.
suburban dad who's like, oh, I used to really like Batman when I was like, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll have a good time, whatever. But if you're, connoisseur of these kinds of things, you may find it wanting. But
bless
get
you.
the fuck over yourself, because that's what I had to do. 20 minutes in, I got over myself. I gave myself to this stupid movie. I had a good time. It's fine. I ate a lot of popcorn.
Every time we do these where you try to compliment it at the end,
Yeah,
you still are like, so I just decided I didn't care that it was terrible and that it was made by a bunch of buffoons.
That's exactly. Well, I mean, you ain't lying. Where's the lie?
All right, are we doing
No, we have more final thoughts, right?
Oh my, yeah. I mean,
wrap
that's
it up.
it's that. Yeah,
It's that,
It's fine,
period.
man. I was so again. I left very pleasantly surprised. I said this is gonna sound like a diss on it, but the one thing to say for what they've been doing with these movies is that they've beaten them into such a mush that at this point where I went and saw this, I was just sort of like, go ahead.
Yes.
What are you doing?
Bring me my
What
slop.
are you gonna do? Yeah. Where do we go now? And then when it didn't actively offend me, when I didn't make me mad when I was in there, I was
Right.
like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And I left dude, I like superheroes. I don't know, man. If you like those guys flying around punching people and punching
Right.
whatever those things were, those mosquitoes, the mosquito guys,
The guys.
then go strap
Baxter.
in, man.
They're all Baxter from TMNT.
And when they're all together, it is fun. Everybody keeps saying that, but it is. Like when they were all actually in the same room, I was like, cool.
Yeah, when they're all saving each other, fighting, it's like, yeah, this is all just a CGI nonsense mess of nothing happening. But,
Yeah,
you know
but
what?
whatever.
Whatever.
I don't know, man.
All right, Max. 2-3 sentences, tops.
Okay. Let me think for a second. I'm just remembering other things that I want to talk about, but I know we got to cut it. Okay. BVS was the first time that I've ever been so angry at a movie that I've wanted to walk out of the theater. But at least I felt something. And I didn't when watching this, and I don't now. And that is, in a way, more disappointing to me. And that sucks. And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if I want to
lost. Never to have beefed at all.
Never beefed at all. That's exactly true.
Yeah.
It's purgatory versus hell. Like, what is worse, truly?
Yeah. I don't know. Justice League.
Hell's worse.
Again,
hell's worse. Come on,
it's unoffensive.
It's hell.
I don't know, man.
Sure.
All right. Are we doing a...
Yeah, we'll do three-headed critic first.
Now, what is that? Because I've never listened to this podcast before, so I'm not sure what that is.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not
Are you
serious.
full of shit, Max? Yeah, I was about to say, we've talked about you breaking my heart. You loved that movie, Conan.
Yeah, I love it.
We watched it together. You laughed.
You laughed. You're a bad man. Okay,
I
why
drew
don't
the
you
cow.
start it, and then I'll go to me, and then Dom.
Okay. Listen.
I
Didn't...
Enjoy.
this.
Period. I don't think that shouldn't be it.
Mate, we're going to try
Are
this.
we going to try these fucking phone ones?
Yeah, we're going to try a new game. All right, guys, we got a new game for you. This one is called Phone's Opinion, or Phoning It In.
That's
Or ring-a-ling-ding, my
hurts.
ding-a-ding-dong. I haven't settled on a name yet. But this game is we type the name of the movie into a text message box of our individual smartphones, and I'm going to put in Justice League.
Are we going to do it at the same time, and then we'll just read them back?
And we'll read them back at the same time. And we're using our phone's predictive text. We will write a cohesive review. How many times do we get to push the button? What's the max?
Just...
Say 10 pushes. You have to write. It has to make sense within 10. Okay? Go. All right, give me yours.
Justice League was a great day of the week. Of course, we got to see y'all tonight at work today, so we just had a fun night. All right, that's pretty much how I felt about it.
Thanks, Phone. All right, I got for you. Justice League can communicate with me, and I want to be a good fit for the position.
That's kind of sad. It's like you
I
were
guess
trying. You wanted.
I would.
You wanted to engage with it, but it just,
Oh, thank you so much, Max, for joining
Yeah,
us.
sure.
Thanks for fitting us in. Do you have anything
thanks
to
for
plug?
having
Is there anything cool? popping off?
Well, you can find me in places, but I do this. I write this and draw a Spidey fan comic, a Spider-Man fan comic that is fun and cool. Wow, that was good.
it's very good.
It's extremely good. Marvel, you should hire this guy.
Yeah, no, I just
who's
I write.
Joe Quesada is like, the new episode of
finally.
Reasonable Beef.
No, I write
recommendations.
I write and illustrate little Spider-Man fan stories of just little scenes that I think would be fun to see with the characters. And I'll put a link to that in my Twitter description before this episode goes up, so it's easy to find. And
Nice. Cool.
I'm
And what's your
Max.
Twitter?
I'm Max's Drawing on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. So those are the places you can look at my drawings.
Still post to Tumblr?
Yes, but I'm Bracken on Tumblr. Bracken Spideyverse
Okay.
is the
That's
Tumblr address.
No, seriously, and I gotta say, I was just talking with my girlfriend about this. Is that like, I am just endlessly impressed at how not only talented but skilled you are. Like, having watched your art develop over, I guess, the 5 years that I've known you,
Thanks, man.
just endlessly impressed with you. So please check his shit out. Like, he's incredibly talented.
Thank
I
you.
love you, Max. And
Thank you
you're
so much.
Good hair.
I
All right.
love it.
Do you have anything? Is there anything cool?
On the note of video editing, I don't know when this will ever come out or if it ever will, but I am working on an edit of Spider-Man 3 that was inspired by you and Dom and Jack's conversation on it. So
Do that?
Oh, well, thank you. That's cool.
Hell yeah.
We need to have a talk about this, because there's got to be a way that we can release these without it being like, oh, we just gave away the movie and that's
Yeah.
illegal.
It's like no,
Because there's got to be some kind of parody aspect to it. Whatever. We'll discuss that off mic. Is there anything cool coming out with you, Dom?
that last episode of Back to School should be coming out.
yes.
this next week coming up. So the week that you're listening to this, I hope.
Cool.
And then the short that I did for Buffer, I'm gonna post. I think next Saturday, as long as Back to School comes out this week.
It's cool. Did I see the Buffer short?
Yes.
Good. I'm sure it was fine. Thank you guys so much. This has been Reasonable Beef. Please, if you like this down-tempo episode where we talk very seriously about things that aren't real, please give to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/reasonablebeef. Get what you can. $5 get you access. No, $1. All dollars give you access to bonus beef now.
Every dollar.
Any dollar that you give us, that's as many bonus beefs as you're going to get.
All right.
Don't quote me on that.
You should do it and
Thanks.
be it and have a good old time.
You should do it and be it.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you want to
guys.
CGI out Tim's mustache for the next episode, then pledge to the Patreon.
Yeah, that's true.
That'd be a good little perk. We should do little things like that.
We do have to think of things. We have to give things.
We do have to
people
think of
give.
things. That's true. That's
And I gotta do stuff as well. It's just a whole hassle. I can't get around to that stuff.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Max, you're great.
Thanks, Max.
Oh,
Bye.
yeah, you guys are great too.